Good job, sausage.
Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel. And today I thought I would go through some of my old writing from middle school, high school, college, and beyond. I have a giant thing of it that I just pulled out of the closet amongst some pillows and other things I needed to throw away to the side. But I figured we would go through this and it would be fun or funny. One of those. So let's get started, shall we? Should I put this into view? The drama, the intrigue. First off, I have one of these from my grandma. This is not writing related, but it does crack me up. Wow, I'm transported back to a very specific time. About 2004. Anyways, now we have the writing stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh no, 5. I'm not gonna be able to count this. Look at this. Just one little piece of paper. Like 6, 7, 8. Anyways. That's this. And we still have all of this. Let's get started. Let's actually get started. Also, stories in manila folders. That was a good organization tool, which is probably why I have 20 of them not titled from the outside. Crumpled pieces of paper. Be free. But stay. So don't be free. I've talked before about how it took me forever to actually get through a notebook because I would intermittently write different stories in them, diary entries kind of thing. So here we have a few pages of a story, how to make cake balls. No dates, but this will be fun. I shall pick a page at random. A large letter G was inscrawled in the palace gates, intricately woven between the family's crest. A boar? Question mark? Sentences there, who knows? It took only seconds for Anderson to show his identification to the guards before they were ushered in as most esteemed guests of the estate. All the while, Lori sat in awe. I have no memory of this, for the record. No memory. Ah, classic though. Mademoiselle Name. A man in a mix between suit / something else offered his hand. Yo, look at that. Yes, he hissed through still thin lips, but it's been years since the attack in the north, she whispered as a group of something that I can't read my handwriting says, walked past, talking animatedly about the week's festivities. And there hasn't been much. Who knows? There hasn't been much what? I don't know. Oh, but the start of this one, focus. Brad's eyes fluttered closed. 2 seats up, 1 seat to the left. Concentrate. He waited as if in a trance before opening his eyes, only instead he was now seeing through Madison's pretty blues. Okay. Her hand scribbled furiously as she carried the 8 and made note of the kinetic energy equation, but Brad didn't care about that. He didn't care about inner rumblings as she repeated the blank absolute mindlessly. He vaguely noticed, as she did, the sweat appearing on her brow. Just as she wiped it away with the back of her hand, she glanced down at what Brad really wanted. C, B, A, 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 D, C. He exited her mind as smoothly as he had entered. He's cheating! He's cheating on the test! Wow. Truly using his powers for good. I see you, Brad. You know, I'm not mad at that as an intro. It would be better now, obviously, but like, that's, you know, it's funny. It's cute. One thing with who knows how many stories. I loved this notebook. Oh my god. Look at this old Nanowrimo calendar. So this was from college. I remember having it because I also intermixed it with budgeting stuff, Alliance of Women in Technology, more Nanowrimo stuff, just tons of things falling out. I have a whole novel figured out. Oh, chapter 1 / prologue. Intro to Carmen, Tracy, and Jessica. Chapter 2, Meet Liam. Also don't remember this, but look at this. 11, 13, 11. Chapter 1 prologue. Who was she? Who was she back then? Flashbacks? I have no explanation. Back staking out Michael with Ryan, Liam comes in and chills with them in the car. I like how that was my idea of plotting. I was like, well, they'll be in the car. Chapter 9, they're in a car. Oh my god, life goals. 1 month, finish second version of Curse, give it to reader to check over. 3 months, finish all edits. 6 months, completed superhero story. Nope, rewrites on Redhead. Who are you? What are you? publish, publish times 3, publish times 4, publish times 5. 10 years, have a loyal fan base, have a movie based on my works. I'm sorry to say, as it is also 2021, not yet December 17th as of this recording, but 10 years after, I do not have a movie based off of my stories, but, you know, maybe in the next 10 years. December goals for rewrites. When I should write before classes. Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. Wednesday, 8 to 8:45, because I had class. Sunday, I could do 8 to 11 before my 11:30 class. Oh man, this is truly a thing of beauty. Curse outline. I actually think I know what this curse story is now, and it transformed so insanely. Mr. White, find Royce's note, subplots to add in. Chapter 14, fight, fight, fight. Beautiful, beautiful. Composition notebook. Again, mostly not filled out. Oh my gosh, this was my notebook, my journal from when I went to Australia. Officially done with the longest leg of travel. Talked politics with the cab driver in New Zealand. I actually have notes in my phone from this trip, from like sayings and idioms and stories I thought of then, which is fun. I think I took this one in to be read by the writing group I started on campus. It started yesterday. Dana Rivers died. It had been raining. The slick tires of her sedan churned against the road as she thumbed her fingers on the steering wheel and tried to ignore the sobbing of her pathetic ex-boyfriend. His drunken slurs meant nothing to her, and when he had called, begging for her to pick him up from a party, all Dana could remember was a very similar night not too long ago when she'd been on the other end of that call. Michael shook his head, trying to say something else. Before Dana got a chance to turn to help him, he'd vomited. Oh my god, Dana cried out. You just threw up on my car. In my fucking car. Sorry, I was all Michael managed to get out before putting his head between his legs and vomiting again. Oh geez, my mom's going to... The dialogue here is interesting. Dana's eyes widened as she turned around and saw the headlights. Her foot barely had time to hit the brake before the truck slammed into the fender. Her hands ripped from the steering wheel as the car spun out of control. Once, twice, the car spun until it tumbled off the road. The guardrail torn off its hinges and fell with the car. What? The top of the sedan hit the ground before the force of the hit recoiled and spun it over again. Dana's seatbelt was tight against her chest as she struggled to breathe before the car rotated again. It turned over once more before smacking into the closest tree. It's interesting, we were kind of following really closely with Dana, and then now it's like on the outside of Dana. Dana's sedan was nothing like what it used to be, neither was she. In half a minute, her car had been thrown up in, its windows had shattered, and nearly all except the passenger side had been flattened. Everything we just read. Okay. Dana saw it all, hovering over her now destroyed car. She could see Michael and she could hear the sirens. No period. Don't know where that sentence was. Was it done? Did I decide that that was it? Did I just miss the period? It kind of feels like there should have been more, but it's okay. Slowly she walked down to the car and stared down at where she'd been just moments before. The sirens wailed as the 3 ambulances came to a stop at the edge of the road. Men scrambled to get down to the base of the ditch, but none of them noticed her. Dana turned around and watched as the men sprinted off into the distance, away from her and Michael. Where are you going? She yelled out, but turned swiftly away when she heard a man moaning next to her. Michael was alive. Dana turned to watch the firemen on the scene as they brought out the jaws of life to help, but I thought they ran past her. What? Dana turned to watch the firemen on the scene as they brought out the jaws of life to help Michael. No one, she noticed, was running to help her. But she's next to Michael or she's not next to Michael? Am I confused about what I wrote? Is it confusing now or was it also confusing? No one, she noticed, was running to help her. She had to have been bleeding. Why couldn't anyone see her? Why couldn't they hear her? Dana screamed, but no one turned. No one cared. No one knew. I actually do like that sentence. I'm here for the drama of it. Finally, she watched the jaws of life smash open her car and pry out Michael. She turned to look over at where she knew her body had last been. No one was rushing to save her because she couldn't be saved. She let out a small damn, audibly only to her, then turned and walked away. You know. I actually do have a whole story that evolved from this. Oh, this was in another notebook. So while this scene in its form is only now remembered in this page and now that I've read it out loud, it did inspire a completely different story. It's an adult story, and there is a car crash that takes place at the beginning, but rather than having Dana inside of it, it has a guy who ends up being kind of a big bad villain, which is fun. So anyways, I think I know what this is. That's right. So to come up with the creative writers of Aggieland, I had to do a whole thing for a new store organization, and the person I was with at the time made a fancy version of the Constitution that I had written up and submitted, which was very sweet. Oh, things in the notebook not written in the notebook. Ghost story. Chapter 1, Dana Rivers dies. Oh my god, a continuation of what did I think the plot was gonna be? Dana Rivers dies. Chapter 2, at home with Alyssa. Chapter 3, at school, realizes dead. Did she not realize before when she walked away? What? Did I have like a shorter version and then this inspired a whole story? Realizes dead and introduced a friend. Say not realized alive? Question mark. What? Chapter 4, funeral. Chapter 5, agrees to help a small girl watching funeral. Chapter 6, finding family. Uncovers guy kidnapped her and kidnaps often. Oh, the kidnaps the small girl. I really relied on my memory to understand what was happening. Here's a different story that I have. Oh, look at point of view for each character. Jenny, William, Prince, James, Mystery Man, King, Prince's dad, King, New One, Prince's cousin, Queen, Prince's mom, Innkeeper, Innkeeper's son, Mira. Opening, show her giving Old Man a chance to tell her about Mira. Old Man passes, sets her off on this adventure. Wow, I wrote this for NaNoWriMo 2012, I guess, probably? Maybe it was 2011. Anyways, just confused faces. Oh, this one's really folded up. You think that means it's better or worse? Like, I'm hoping I wouldn't remember it, or it was so good I had to keep it and needed to like stuff it in my pocket. Let's find out. I'm gonna say not good. Oh no, I'm good for you, he smiled, slowly approaching. I tell you the truth. How many other people in this new life do that for you? I clenched my jaw, willing myself not to punch him. It was a strange feeling I got every time he walked into the room. Really, he continued on, how many people did that before you met me? James sounds like a coward. Madame a pushover. The old man, weak. Then my fist flew. Bum, bum, bum. Don't remember him, but I do remember having an old man in the story. It was kind of like a potion master, and anyways, on the hunt to try and find her sister, as adventurous stories go. Oh, chapter 11. Another little scene card. This was a thing I made in like kindergarten about Wild Cat. Sorry, Wild Cat. You can see that hand coordination from a young age was not the best. Oh. Table of contents. What do cheetahs look like? What do cheetahs eat? Where do cheetahs live? What do lions look like? What do lions eat? Where do lions live? What do tigers look like? What do tigers eat? Where do tigers live? You know, I got the questions. What, where? Times 3. Aw, look at that. Chapter 1. Cheetahs live on the African plain. Newborn lions have lots of spots. Clearly I was destined for greatness. That's adorable. This was my notebook that I kept in 8th grade. I have all the dates. I have very dramatic retellings of what happened during the day. Not all of them true because I was writing for some future audience or wanted to make my life sound cooler than it was, I think, which is fun because I genuinely think that's what most of the life feels like at the time, is like everything is dramatic because you're experiencing so many things for the first time and you need to let everything know. I liked that I always signed it with much love by. Much love to my future self, I guess. If I ever write like a little bit older middle grade, I will reference this back because it truly has some gems. I was a rock star. This was my self-insert Harry Potter fan fiction from the time. I was not creative enough to use a fake name for my self-insert, so I used my real name and the real names of my friends. I printed everything out. Oh my god. Just, wow. I can't. I will return to this at some future time, but man, okay. More NaNoWrimo Calendars. A diary I started talking about how my friend wanted to hang out, but I really didn't want to because I only had 2 more blissful days of no school and I just wanted to be home alone. Oh wow, I printed out my schedule and pasted it in. First day of school, 2008. Made it about, you know, 2 days of entries. Good job. Oh, you know how your handwriting evolves over time? Like the current handwriting I have has pretty much been the same since about like maybe 9th or 10th grade. But you can see what your young handwriting looks like and how it evolved. So I can tell that this is clearly my handwriting, but it's my handwriting when I was maybe like, I don't know, possibly like 4th grade. Where are you going? Writing. On what? The road. Oh, these were just quotes I liked, apparently. As your insert thing, mother, friend, boyfriend, whatever, I'm putting your other foot down for you. So good. This is wonderful. Wow, this was great. You know, the problem is I have so much of this that I could go through it for hours. I'm bored as I sit here in bio. I'm wondering if this can take up 40 minutes. Probably not. Story started March 18th, 2006. Ooh. Oh. A song that I wrote about the truth. The truth can sometimes hurt more than a lie. Wow. Nailed it. Home sweet home. What? Wow. I like how I said story started on this day and it's just like 2 poems. Oh. An Ode to Rocky Road. This is from much earlier than 2006, but and all your goodness, O rocky road, your chocolate appearance flowed. The white deliciousness of your marshmallows is why my stomach the greatness of your almonds, all of them galore, is what makes me pine after you more and more. I cannot deny my strange addiction, which is why I'm in the kitchen. A masterpiece. Another song. I don't know why I wanted to be a songwriter, since I cannot sing to save my life. Oh, that's it. Oh, randomly in the middle. I chose chaos, I guess. Hope I found is a simple word, but such a huge, like, I need to stop. This is, okay. 2015 goals. Be able to run a half marathon under 2 hours by the end of 2015. Girl, you were still trying. It's fine. I have a bit of an anger problem. At least that's what the attorney for the police guy I punched said. Oh. What happened here? Again, I chose violence by just having something in the middle. Oh, these were names that I was gonna use for another Harry Potter fanfiction once I stopped doing self-inserts. Oh, I drew one! Oh, I'm a terrible artist. I don't know why. You know, I appreciate the attempt. Random pieces of paper. Okay, this is what I used to do. I would write Tale of Two Cities essay, and then I would, at the top with my name and date, and then I would write the story so that if anyone saw me in class, it would look like I was doing work, but really I was writing my story, so they couldn't judge me. Oh, I also tried to change the way I wrote my A's because I saw someone else write them this way and I thought it was cooler. So I started trying to write them like this, but I still don't write them that way. This is how many pages of a story I printed out once was. The story I told the cops was a lie. Well, really, it was more of half-truth, but I couldn't get myself to tell them everything. No way. What happened? It was the first and most obvious question they could have asked. I looked up at the officer from my spot on the bench as the EMT was bandaging my wrist. Information on what had happened. 79 pages of a story that I would have to read more of to remember. Let's see. That's when I saw him standing by his motorcycle. He took off his helmet and set it down on one of the handles. Let her go, motorcycle guy said. Okay. I lived in Massachusetts. Someone was from Salem. Ooh. I remembered I wrote a really long story about witches, but I don't remember any of the premise. This was definitely back like pretty early on in high school. I didn't feel him leave. I didn't even see where he went. The pain had blinded me of everything. All I remembered was him repeating, "Be careful," one last time. Andrew knew. He had to. Who was Andrew? Who knows? Lots of dialogue, like literally every page I flipped to, but that's because I love dialogue. Walking into the store, a little bell rang overhead. It looked like a small family-owned bookstore. There was an entire aisle dedicated to lotions and incense and powder, but then further down the aisle, it became much stranger. Things that looked like vegetables were floating in jam jars filled with half-milky liquid. No harm in trying, I convinced myself by pulling a bobby pin from my hair. Oh, you could see where I was inspired from all of my TV shows, thinking that you could actually use it. Okay, let's see. Ooh, Why are you a part of the curse? The curse. More cobwebs. I joked, but was half serious. Oh, this is where Joanna comes in. Whoops. The writing was in another language, something I couldn't understand even with my intermediate knowledge of French and Spanish. It was familiar, like the note written by Genevieve, only this time it was signed in Shelby's beautiful scroll. Anne Shabowski. Where did you find this? I asked, hardly able to contain my excitement. Your bedroom. Dun dun dun, and that's where it is. Someday I'll read it in full. Another notebook I didn't finish. Another notebook. University Writing Center. The problem with dead people is that they don't realize they're no longer alive. At least not initially. Car crash. Why are you throwing away? I was trying to work out the story clearly. I say want them to meet up with James / whoever after they get the weapon, but if they separate, she needs the journal. But maybe the man was on his way to see the old man. Maybe have it so WHN circled them and she goes back and rips some pages out. Need a reason for her not to trust him to make her do this in the first place, other than just remembering. Maybe he seems like he's gonna use the weapons. This is the way my little brainstorming brain works, apparently. Still works that way. Very haphazard. Oh, my completion of NaNoWriMo 2012 excerpt that I read. One of the ways we celebrated at the end of NaNoWriMo was to all get together and we would read excerpts of each other's stories if you wanted to. So you got to submit the excerpt that you wanted people to read. That's very fun. How I attempted to do timelines before I tried Excel and then Google Sheets and then all of the various timeline software I have now because timelines are the bane of my existence. I had options for my NaNoWriMo novel. Curse rewrite. I guess we talked about that one. Redhead rewrite. Still don't know what the redhead one is. Adventure write. I actually think this adventure one is what ended up being the start of the Meridian maps. But I still had not written it at the time. I was just like, oh, starring with adventure and pirates. Did I get close to finishing this one? Except all the pages in the middle. Again, why do I do this? His eyes are cold, but not scared or confused, as the last time I saw them up close. What? All shock at my existence is gone. Okay. Bonus random pages. Paranormal story. Top friend and main girl remember she was really good at reading people. Book the first. Hotel overview. I think this was 7th grade. This was semi-recently the story that my co-writer and we went to go see a movie at the Alamo Draft House, and then on the way back, I guess, we were writing all over it. Has, you know, coffee stains. Boy. This was truly something. It is really funny being able to see the growth over like my entire lifetime. And it's interesting, the stories I do and don't remember. I think in part because some of the stories I've written, I ended up taking pieces from old stories and they really morphed. So like, I didn't really remember that weird short crash scene actually originated an adult story that I have in my head now and that I've worked on intermittently. But then in comparison, my like, I don't even know how many potentially hundreds of thousands of words of fan fiction I remember very clearly. Did not remember Brad at all, but I actually thought that one was kind of fun. I think that's a clever way of doing things. So there's, you know, there's moments where I was like, there's potential. But it is really fun to see the overall evolution. And I think it's fun just when I went from page to page with different story ideas and concepts, just playing around with things. I know some people growing up had like one story that they stuck to through everything. That was always the one they were playing with. But I think it was pretty clear even from then, as much as I like to experiment now, that I just like playing around with different methods of storytelling, different characters, and just kind of seeing what was fun in the moment, which is the great thing about writing. You can do whatever you want. And now, to not revisit this for several more years. Maybe one day I'll do a dramatic reading of the self-insert fanfiction or attempt to redo one of the stories. Like I could attempt to rewrite that short intro to the car crash scene. That would be kind of interesting. Keep it YA and like literally kind of beat for beat what I was attempting, but do it better now that I'm more experienced. But please do comment down below. Let me know how you feel when you revisit some of your old writing. Let me know if you keep old notebooks in a tub somewhere. And let me know if you remember the origin of some of your stories that have like seriously evolved now. Whether that's they were middle grade and now are adult stories, or it was one little line in a poem and you turned that into a whole 3-book series or whatever else. But that is gonna be it for me and the sausage. And I will see you all very soon with a new video. Bye. Thank you for joining me down this very weird memory lane.